Hi, welcome to Ghost Talk. I'm Harold C. John, founder of Toledo Ghost Hunters.
I'm Butch Leon, the other founder.
Hey, tonight we wanted to jump in and do a quick show tonight to talk about some of our upcoming events. We have a lot of things going on that I kind of want to share with our fans out there. First of all, Butch and I and the rest of the group are going to be instructing a course given by Owens Community College starting this coming Thursday. It's going to run on Thursdays from 7 to 9. I have some information that I'm going to share with you on that. If it's Ghost Hunting 101, it's just some basic ghost hunting things. What we're going to do, Butch and I, the first class, on this coming Thursday, we are going to go over types of hauntings, 10 or 12 different types of hauntings, and right after that we're going to touch on some ghost hunting equipment. You have some equipment that you want to go over with everybody. So it looks like it's going to be a good course. I want to remind everybody that they can get a hold of Owens. They're going to keep its registration open to the day of the first class, I think.
On Thursday.
Mm-hmm. So you can get a hold of Owens Community College at Owens EDU, or give them a call and register for the class until the day of.
Somebody said to turn up the volume.
Okay. Turn up the volume on my phone and see if that works. Top button. If maybe you can hear. Let us know if you can hear us now. I mean, obviously, this show is sometimes very paranormal itself, and sometimes we get a lot of glitches. So, and Butch and I will talk a little bit louder. So, I hope it's loud enough now that you can hear us. Either way, the first class we're going to go over types of hauntings, and then we're going to get right into the equipment that's used during an investigation. The second class is going to be. She's going to be taking us through an investigation from first contact to closing of a case, which involves a whole lot of different things. I'm going to read a little bit as well. Her class is going to go over the interviews, the research, the client forms, the investigation, analyzing, debunking, and evidence protocol. We're going to have a PowerPoint presentation, I think, up on the wall that can describe a little bit. The third class, I think, is going to be really interesting. We're going to have three guest speakers at night. First one's going to be Michelle Maddock, our Director of Public Outreach and our Tranquility Specialist. She's going to be going over safety protocol, you know, kind of the do's and don'ts. And she'll go over some house cleansing, some house blessings and evictions, and kind of touch on positive energy, negative energy, and things that can be somewhat demonic. So that should be pretty interesting. Followed by that, there's going to be Patricia DeSandro, a renowned psychic medium here in Northwest Ohio. And she's going to go over, and I guess, you know, we don't use her all the time. Very rare we've used her.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, the Door Street poltergeist case that we did. But she's going to go over the benefits of maybe using a psychic medium during an investigation. There are times that Butch and I will reach out for help, and Patricia's the one that we go to. She's very good at what she does, and she belongs to all the psychic fairs, and she's got a whole lot of irons in the fire that she's doing. But she did help us on that one case. She came up with some answers that we were seeking. And then next, the third speaker on our third class is going to be Haunted Toledo's Chris Tillman. I think this is going to be really good for the class. I think they're going to be really excited about this. Chris does a web series, Legends of Ohio. It's all about the different hauntings in Northwest Ohio, throughout the state of Ohio, actually. He's very good at research. He's very good at the legends. He's very good at putting the stories together. So he's going to come out and share story time with us and tell us some great scary stories. So once again, if you haven't registered and you are interested, to describe this class a little bit, and you know, we've got a lot of positive feedback. We were on Channel 11 News. They asked us to come out and talk about it a little bit. We're getting a lot of support from Owens Community College. What was it, a couple months ago, we were called by Jamie Wineland from Owens Community College to come out. They were going to put a course together on ghost hunting. They said the popularity of it was growing. So I was one of the people that they interviewed, and you had went to the interview with me. We both were interviewed. We thought about it for a couple of days, and we accepted the position to be the instructors for this course. I think it's a great thing that Owen's doing. Some people have said it's groundbreaking, maybe first of its kind. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they were real interested in what we had to offer, and they were really excited what we told them, and they accepted us with open arms.
Well, from there, we've never been contacted. Several years ago, you and I were contacted by Brown Mackey to come down and speak at a couple of classes, and we did, and it was a lot of fun. This is kind of the same, kind of different. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, as we accepted this thing, you didn't realize how much work it is putting together, you know, the PowerPoints and, you know, the class outline and the syllabus for the class. So we've been really busy putting this thing together, trying to make it as fun as we can for anybody that's signed up. I heard the other day we had a 92-year-old or 91-year-old student that's registered for the class. That's awesome.
85 and a 92.
Yeah, I think that's great. Anyways, the kind of the class, I just gave you the outline of things we're going to do, but more importantly, this is Butch and I's over 40 years of being paranormal investigators. This is our take on it. As you all know, the world of paranormal is full of theories and full of opinions, and we have ours as well. I've always said that the more I've studied and the more I've learned, the less I know when it comes to that. So every time we enter a room where we've thought we've gotten the answers, there's a room full of doors that are questions, and therefore it's back to the drawing board and back to studying for years. So it should be a lot of fun. We're going to share some theories with you, some protocol that we do. The way we do it doesn't mean it's the way everybody else does it. At the end of the class, on the fourth class or the last class, we're going to do a field trip to a local haunted location, which should be a ton of fun.
Right.
We put together a little bit of a quiz, multiple choice, which was kind of funny. There's no pass or fail with this thing, but we're going to share that with them. And Jamie Wineland has offered a class certification. So if you complete the course, you get a course certification of a completion for that particular course. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing it. Is what I told you earlier. I just, all the work we've got it pretty much done. I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to get in front of these students and let's have a go at it. And I think it should be
I think it'll be a blast. I think everybody will enjoy it.
So once again, Owens Community College, owens.edu. You can call them at 567-661-73. I'm sorry, 567-661-7357. You can also go to the website and download the registration online, and you can fax it in. So looking forward to you. And as you can see tonight, we have Katie as a special guest, and I think Crockett is running back and forth as well. Crockett doesn't like to do ghost talk. They have their own needs. So anyways, I got that out of the way. So some other things are going on. We're still working on our stories for the book. We hope, with the help of Jamie McClenathen, some others, and Chris Tillman as well from Haunted Toledo, to fill in the middle pages. We're busy right now. We're right in the middle of an investigation as well that we hope to wrap up next Saturday. So just a lot of things going on for us right now that we're pounding on.
Yeah, and a possible couple other ones that is in the works.
So, so we're having a lot of fun. We're really busy. Go back to the book. We've written 3 or 4 more stories for the book. They're in the process, hopefully the next week or so, of being edited. We've been posting some stuff on our Facebook page. So keep on following us. Keep on liking what we're doing. I posted a picture Friday, the Ghost of Gloucester. It's a cabin that you and I did a couple of years ago. And I don't want to give the location away because everybody's posting, where's this place at? What's the address? What road's it on? Over 20,000 hits on that picture alone, and several comments, well, tons of comments. When can I get the book? When's the book going to be out? This, that, and the other. So follow us. We hope I have our book out in September or October. Ghost Talk, Paranormal Ohio. We're just going to keep plugging away, and hopefully we have a couple of news stories as well. So, anyways, the format for tonight, I wanted to bring up EVPs. This is going to be part of our course as well. It's kind of like EVPs 101. And once again, I want to remind everybody, of all the years that Butch and I have been doing this, this is our theory. This is our take from it. Everybody does their recordings differently and uses different types of equipment to capture some sounds or disembodied voices. So, Butch, what is an EVP?
EVP is a disembodied voice. You try to communicate with the other side. They come in. There's various voices that you can get. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
The great thing about EVPs, I remember when I first started, it was on a reel-to-reel. There's digital audio recorders now. There's many different types of recording devices, but the old ones they used because of white noise. The new digitals recorders record at different megahertz, so they're all a little bit different. But EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, the very first EVP that was ever captured and documented, I always tell this story, was in the Swiss Alps from Frederick Jurgensen. He was recording bird calls.
Bird calls.
And I don't know if it's accidentally or how it happened, but he went back and replayed these, and it was his deceased mother that was talking to him, and she had been deceased for 10 years. You know, the funny thing about that is years later, he admitted that he was talking to the dad. I don't know if he was at the time that the first EVP was captured, but he admitted. So maybe afterwards, once he knew it could work, he went on to continue to record. So
right.
It can be done on very different recorders, very many things, and it's not just voices. A lot of times when Butch and I have been investigating, we've captured, you know, doors opening, closing, knocking, pounding, furniture moving. So EVPs can come in all ways. It's not just a voice sometimes. Sometimes it's a sound or something else that's going on in the background.
There's been a case that we actually heard construction work going on.
Oh, that's right.
I'm not going to say where that was, but
yeah, we heard a saw and a hammer.
A saw and a hammer. There was construction work going on, and we figured out who it was.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, just the noises alone gave that away.
Yep.
Well, EVPs are, once they're documented and captured, they come in classes, and there's a class A. Can you describe that for us?
Class A is where you really don't even need headphones or anything like that. When you're listening to your recorder, it just as plain as day, just like we're talking right now, and it's
very clear.
It's very clear.
What's a class B?
A class B is where you might be able to hear it, but you might need your headphones a little bit. But it'll come out, but you'll still be able to hear it a little bit.
Sure. And then of course you have the class C. Describe to our fans what that is.
Class C, you'll have to use your headphones, and it's a very weak voice that or whatever, or a noise or whatever. You'll have to have your headphones on, and
sometimes you can't tell what they're saying.
Right.
The beauty thing about the class C, which we've captured hundreds of them as well. You know, here's the thing: we don't know what they're saying, but the truth of the matter is they're still there.
Right.
They're saying something. So sometimes you can get your class C EVP, but we still have documented evidence, you know, of a haunting. So, and then there's class R, which is very controversial, and I won't get into that, but we'll learn more about that in the class. So, EVPs come in 3 basic classes: Class A, Class B, and Class C. So, I want to talk a little bit about capturing an EVP. There's many ways to do this, but through our years of experience, I think the best way to do it is we're going into an investigation, say it's session 1. And by the way, you and Becky have been very good at capturing EVPs over the years, but guess who caught an EVP last week? Me, my first one in about 5 or 6 years, believe it or not. So now I'm the king, okay, of EVPs. Anyways, I think, and I make a lot of mistakes doing EVPs because I'm high strung and I'm wired, and where Butch and Becky seem to be, you know, they maybe meditate a little bit, they calm themselves down before going into an investigation. I think some of the important things are to speak clearly, to speak slowly, leave a 5 or second pause in between, you know, your question.
Let them answer.
Yeah, and more importantly, be involved with the location. If you're in a school, I think the things to talk about would be, you know, recess, math class, gym. If you're in a library, you would talk about books and story time. So I think being one with the location is very, very important. I think so, in order to be successful at it anyways. So that's capturing an EVP. I think there's some do's and don'ts there, and there's a lot of things to do. And I think the more you do it, the better you'll get, okay? And I think the other thing that we should talk about is to know what kind of spirit you may be dealing with when you're doing these EVPs, because as we always said, there's positive entities, there's kind of neutral entities, but there's some darker entities as well, some negative entities. So provoking would probably not be a wise idea. So what could you tell us? Let's take a case, for instance, that maybe, you know, what made you successful. Let's go back to a case on Maxwell where you and Becky were, you know, in the house alone late one night. replaying or recreating a scenario where a negative EVP come out of you. Obviously, you can't say the bad words, but explain to fans what happened that night.
The client has said that she'd been pushed and scratched in this particular area in a bathroom. And so we try to recreate this situation. We had Becky go in, turn the water on in the shower and this and that. And she says that why are you doing this? Go ahead, push me and this and that. And this person or whatever it was, entity came back and said, certain things to her.
A very low megahertz.
Right. It
was a verbal attack is what it was.
Exactly.
I mean, absolutely. And here's the funny thing about this EVP. As in many a times, while Becky and Butch were doing that session in the home alone that night, and we were outside watching from the tech table, neither one of them heard what this entity was saying at the time. Becky was standing in the shower, and where a young lady had been pushed and attacked previously in the shower, and this entity had come forward and said some nasty things. It was never heard with the human ears. It was during analyzing,
right,
that it was done. And as we all know, there's hundreds of hours of analyzing, but that EVP was captured and documented, and later found at the time. I mean, if you had heard that at the time, I mean, it could have changed everything. I mean, you guys could have packed up and left right there. Who knows, what we would have done. Here's some other important things. Speak slowly, speak clearly, be with the location that you're at. Slow yourself down a little bit, relax a little bit. Know the entity that you're trying to communicate with. And here's the thing where we've had success. If you're dealing with adult entities or children entities, I think we've had more success when you put yourself in that situation. Let's say we're dealing with a child and we want to communicate, which is over the weekend we captured a child. Talk about what children talk about. I mean, as you know, talking to any of your children is when they're young, 7, 8, it's hard to keep their attention. Well, I believe it's the same way with spirits. I think it works the same way. It's not any different, on the other side that would be in our world. You got to talk about what kids want to talk about. Talk about games, tag, hide and seek, toys, and just be one with the entity, if that makes any sense. If it makes any sense at all. One thing to remember, and I want to read you a quote from Thomas Edison because I think it's really, really cool, and I read it all the time. I like it. It says, "Nobody knows whether a personality is passed on to another existence or sphere. If we can evolve an instrument so delicate to be manipulated by our personality as it survives the next life, such as an instrument, it ought to record something." That was Thomas Edison, 1928. The EVP he was talking about. The recording of voices and images of the dead using detuned receiving apparatus. Identified in 1939 and now the subject of increasing scientific research worldwide. And finally, we've proven communication with the deceased. And I think that's important. Last on the EVP, and then we're going to get some questions because Becky said we got some questions. Statistics. We've been doing this for a lot of years. And true, and I don't know how true it is. This may be one person's opinion, but I think over the whole thing and all of the paranormal societies out there and the polls that have been taken, I can name a couple dozen times where we captured a very negative, nasty entity. It's not any different than Ouijas. It's not any different than seances. It's another form of communication. It's speaking with the dead. And I've always said, and I still say the same thing, if I asked you a question here tonight, well, I would expect you to answer me. Same thing when you're doing the EVP. So we got to remember, we have to be safe. Statistic-wise, it states that out of the tens of thousands documented and proven EVPs, 1 in 12 are aggressive in nature. And that can get scary. And that's where we have to be careful. So go ahead, we got a question?
Yeah, Vanessa is asking, in your experience, have you had a response from more intelligent energies or entities or from residual energy?
Here's the thing, and that's a great question. on a couple of occasions, I think our recorders have picked up a residual haunting. You got to remember how difficult that is. That's a loop. That's a tape recorded thing all in itself. A residual haunting doesn't know that we're there.
Right.
It has no idea of our existence at all. It's still in its own world, be it from 1930, 1960, whatever it is. It can make noises. It can do certain things. We're just lucky to capture it on a recorder. Now, intelligent hauntings, on the other hand, can answer direct questions with a direct answer. We were in the closet the other day, and I said, if you want me to get out, then tell me to get out. And the recorder picked up a Class A EVP. Get out. That same evening, my nephew, Jake Steiger, who's our Director of Youth Education, was communicating with this person in this middle room, and they don't want to give it away because, you know, confidentiality and our client's privacy. Was sitting there and very clearly said, my name is Jacob. How are you? Can you tell me your name? And the voice came across, and none of us heard it. Very clearly, a Class A. Renee, think about this. Hi, my name's Jacob. Jacob, how are you? Can you tell me your name? Renee. So I think, you know, once again, the EVP captured a Class A. 3 of us were sitting there. Chris Tillman from Haunted Toledo was helping us out. You were at a hockey game that night. Butch still coaches hockey for Springfield, so we were shorthanded. None of us heard that, but we captured a pretty good EVP. So intelligence is a lot easier to capture. Good question. Go ahead.
Daniel is asking, what is your response when hearing a negative Class A EVP while you're investigating?
I usually call for break and then go outside for coffee and tell Butch and Becky to go get them. That's not true. Well, it is kind of true. Go ahead and ask the question again. I lost myself. But dude, run. What is our response? You know, you were in the Feltman building. That's also in our book, The Feltman Phantom. You had smelled cigar smoke. You had been hearing some voices. Does it scare you at the time that you know you're in there with a negative entity? You know what you're dealing with. All the reports where there was this big, huge, dark shadow figure. So you knew you were in there with something negative. You knew if it talked, and that was way low on the megahertz chart on that audio recorder.
That was also caught on a reel-to-reel white noise.
That was an old tape recorder, yeah.
And I sort of was inquisitive about what it was and where it was, and I kept looking because I was stuck in a vault all by myself.
Yeah, we usually do that to you, don't we? We lock you up somewhere,
right.
Don't we? He's like Aaron from Ghost Adventures, if that makes any sense. I think the key to that is, I don't think it changes much. I think, you know, our guards are up. I think we're more protective. I think we're a little bit leery. But that gets into provoking it a little bit. You know, you don't want to go into a client's resident and start provoking and getting pushy with something that they're describing as negative. It's neither fair or I don't think or professional for that matter. But there's been times where we've gone in and something nasty and negative began to speak to us. I just think we're more cautious.
Right.
Our questions are slow and deliberate. I think we try to protect ourselves and we don't push too much, but that's happened to Becky on several occasions. It's happened to you on several occasions. It's happened to Michelle on several occasions. And the other night I was told to get out. Excuse me, well, is it negative? I don't know. It didn't sound like they were yelling at me, but is it a warning? It's a warning of some kind. Is it negative? I don't know.
That's like when we were down to Athens in a piano room and it told us to get out. So we sort of did,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I think this is a matter of respect too. I think, you know, we have to respect the client. We have to respect the location. We don't want to have something attached to us. And sometimes when you're going into an investigation, we're not quite sure what we're dealing with actually at the time. So I just think, you know, I don't want to say when in doubt, get out, because you have to be fair to the client. You got to see it through from A to Z.
Right.
But a cautious approach. That was a great question as well. Is there any other questions on board? Not at this time. So I'm going to go on. So this whole thing is about EVPs. I think the proper ways to document them, and we have a library now, probably a couple hundred EVPs. Some of them very, very good, and some of them are Class Cs as well.
It's like that one in Wasion where that little boy said, you know, I says, does anybody want to speak? And that little boy says, yes, I do.
I think if you look at all of our evidence files, of all of our video and files and all of our audio files and all of our picture files, I think, and this is my humble opinion, I think with recorded messages, be it by reel to reel, be it by micro cassette, be it by the standard cassette recorders, and even digital. I think TOGHS, for anyways, to our listeners, we've had more success and walked away with more documented evidence in our audio files. And it's not just the digital recorders and the tape recorders either. Let me look at some of the things we captured on full spectrum camera, handheld cameras, the video cameras I'm speaking about. They've also captured some. And back in the day, we had Bert and Bertha, the old RCA cameras. We captured lots of evidence. So it's just not just the audio recorders. You can capture it as well on video cameras as well. Some great audio. They're there, and sometimes they break through. And I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it, but I think our biggest file on documented evidence would be audio recorded voices and the like. Much more, and as you go down the line, some things are, our files are not that big. Well, a lot of things we throw out, like orbs. We've always touched on that a little bit. That we've captured maybe 3 or 4 what we call real significant orbs over the years, and quite a few pictures. We caught some videos. We actually caught a full-bodied apparition on a video not that long ago. But far and away, EVPs has been our claim to success. So, anyways, once again, let's talk about this. We don't have any questions. I'll wrap the show up. I want to bother you. So, as we're getting ready to leave, are you excited about Thursday's class?
Yep, I'm hyped up about it.
Well, I am too. So, anybody's watching the show now or later on tonight or this week, if you're interested in taking the course, once again, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. This is Butch and I's perspective on ghost hunting over the years of experience. We've met a lot of great people over the years. Al Luna from PSEI, Joe and Jennifer from 222. Hey, Jennifer from 222 Paranormal's taking our class. I think what a treat that's going to be. Once we get to location, we're not going to tell her. Well, maybe she'll hear it now. Once we get on location for our field trip, maybe we can have her lead one of our teams or something and see how she does. She could be a team leader, kind of a thing. So a lead investigator, Jennifer, the lead investigator. We have to get her a shirt or something. I wish she was professional. Anyways, Jennifer, if you hear this, make sure you wear your TOGHS shirt at the field trip. So this is going to be our twist to it. Doesn't mean it's the truth. It doesn't mean that like I said, a lot of other groups do things a lot different than us. They consider orbs a lot more than we do. Their EVPs are kind of different. Everybody's a little bit different, and I think what the beauty thing of this, and the whole beauty thing of this class, is once again we can all get together. We can all talk about the things that we like to talk about. The paranormal world is mushroomed. It's getting bigger and bigger, and wider and wider. And there's a lot more groups, and it's so different. When you and I started, it was you and I, and I think Dr. Ken in Columbus. Oh my God, can you go back to the year? There just wasn't that many of us, and now, every town, every city, every place, there's another paranormal group, and we keep meeting new people every week. So I think this is a beauty thing. I think it's really good for all of us involved. And
I think TV had a lot to do with that.
Listen, I'm looking forward to class 3 as well for this class. I can't wait for Patricia DeSandro to come out and talk about, the benefits of having a psychic medium. She's going to talk about, what it's like to be a psychic medium. Some psychic, the old psychic powers, but clairvoyant, clairaudient.
Yep.
Sensing these things. You and I just had a conversation before the show that I think is really cool. I've been studying, kind of researching. I do weird things. As many things as I got on the table, you wouldn't think I would. But that being said, we were talking about how children see ghosts more easily than adults do. And I got a theory that it could be somewhat true, it could be totally hogwash, but the point being is, our human eyes see, from 400 to 800 nanometers, and the children can see a little bit below that at 370, 380, so they're seeing in somewhat of a wider spectrum of vision than us.
Right.
And maybe that's why they can see, entities. Maybe that's why they can see ghosts. You start to lose that when you're 8 or 10, and then we were talking about hearing. How as psychic mediums, how can they hear these things. Now, how can they see ghosts? Well, their vision of light, their spectrum is much wider than ours. Could be, some people have great hearing, some people have really good eyesight, and other people are athletes. They just have special gifts, special physical gifts. Maybe some of these psychic mediums maybe that is their gift. They have a wider spectrum of vision than say I do. They're seeing a little bit in the infrared or the UV light range. So that's kind of, and the same thing with the audio. I've always said, whales communicate for miles underwater on a whole different spectrum that we're hearing on megahertz, and elephants communicate for 10 miles through the hooves of their feet. Maybe these psychics or maybe these gifted people have that type of hearing where, I can remember as a kid, the guy next door had a dog whistle, and he had hound dogs.
Right.
And I remember him blowing the whistle and the dogs coming, and I was absolutely amazed how these dogs heard that, and they would come to him, and yet I couldn't hear it. Well, maybe being a psychic medium somewhat, maybe you can hear in that spectrum, so to speak, that megahertz range or something. So, psychic mediums, benefits of using them in investigation. We don't do it that often, but I can remember on a couple of occasions they were needed, and Patricia DeSandro, to be exact, it helped us solve a case. And so I'm looking for that. Chris Tillman again, Legends of Ohio. During this book that we're putting together, I'm trying to get Chris Tillman to jump on board with me, and I hope he does. Filler in the middle of the book, and I gave him all the credit he needs. Maybe 10 or 15, one-page stories. That guy's incredible. When it gets to be 11 o'clock at night, I don't want to go to his Facebook page. Some of the stories are just too scary for me, believe it or not. So, and Michelle Maddox, it's just great to listen to, and she has a lot of knowledge when it comes to herbs and things that you can do to bless your house. And she is so full of knowledge of things that I don't know anything about. And there's going to be a lot of time to ask her some questions. She's going to come in and talk about maybe angelica and maybe a little demonic. I don't want to get too much into it, but what you're dealing with and how do we handle that. And the bottom line is, as Becky always said, we're leaving the case, we're leaving the client behind. Are we closed? Do they feel safe? Do they feel secure? Do they feel at rest? Do they feel at peace? Well, that's what their job is. That's what Michelle does, is to the best of her ability. So I think we have another question. I'm sorry, I get rattling on.
James is asking, how do you know if you're sensitive to the presence of paranormal entities?
Well, I was just touching on that. It was funny that Butch and I was talking. I became a paranormal investigator, I think at a very young age, because I knew what I was seeing. I knew what I was hearing. And once again, maybe as a child, and Becky's son last night was over from Washington, D.C. last night. We were watching a movie, and I don't remember the name of the show, but it was about this family, kind of a dysfunctional family. And when they shut the lights off, they saw this apparition, Diana. And when they turned the lights back on, she was gone. Well, somewhere in the middle of the show, and I sat back on the chair, and I watch these shows. I don't like scary shows. I just never did, but once in a while, they make me watch them, so I don't sleep well afterwards. Either way, I watched it, and I actually kind of enjoyed the show. It went on to, every time a light went off, this entity would show up and attack someone in this family, but when they would turn the light on, she would disappear. And that's the whole thing. If I could kind of take that scenario and make it sound a little bit different. They were able to see her all the time in ultraviolet. I still think that gifted people, James, we have great athletes, football players, basketball, hockey players. They're doing things that I would never be able to do. And you could just say, yeah, they work hard, hone their skills, and there's a lot of truth to that. We do too. But they were born with some gifts and born with some skills. I'm sure, you know people that have much better vision than you and much better hearing than you. And I think that psychic mediums are somewhat born gifted. They can see in a wider spectrum of light than we can. They can see further down in the infrareds and the ultraviolets. I don't think that's unrealistic. I think there could be a lot of truth to it. Same way with the hearing. You talk about a clairaudient. They can hear things that we don't hear. They can hear these spirits talking and communicating. Well, it's just like I was telling Butch, the mosquito alarm. You can Google that and play with it. I don't hear any of the high pitches anymore, but yet everybody else in the room is holding their ears saying it hurts their ears. I don't hear it. It doesn't bother me at all. Same thing. Maybe these psychic mediums were born where their spectrum of hearing is outside the boundaries of what the human, normal human person is. It's extra. It's the seventh sense, sixth sense. I mean, just something special that they were born with. Call it a talent. I think they were born with a gift. I think they work very hard and they hone their skills throughout their life. And I think they, like any athlete, Steve Yzerman from the Red Wings was a great hockey player, a Hockey Hall of Fame. At one time, he played mini-mite hockey. He was gifted. Yes, he was born with a gift, but he had to work very hard. And I think these psychic mediums do the same thing. And they build a reputation. They're proud of what they do. But yeah, I think they're born gifted, if that answers the question. Is there any other questions there?
Not at this time.
Okay. Well, we're going to get ready to wrap this show up again. So, once again, if you want to come out and say hi to Butch and I, get a hold of Owens Community College. They're going to take class or registration up to the day of the first class. So, I'm assuming Thursday morning. It's going to be a ton of fun. No science here. No real rules or regulations. There's no one way to do it. And I think that's going to be the beauty thing of this class is we're going to be able to talk to a group of 20 people. All right, we're going to take them what we think what it's like to take on a case from A to Z. We're going to show them some equipment. We're going to go over some types of hauntings. We're going to go over some other do's and don'ts, some safety protocol, and I think we're just going to have a ton of fun. We're going to answer one more before we sign off. Okay, Scott is asking, if you are able to see or do encounter paranormal entities, do you suggest engaging with them? Run. Dude, run. No, that's not the truth. Sometimes we have, sometimes you don't. Here's the thing. Now we're starting to get some questions, so I'm going to let the show roll a little bit. I can remember doing EVP sessions where we knew we were capturing EVPs. We did at the end of session 1. We were taking a break. Jake or Jeff was downloading these EVPs to our recorder, playing them back and telling them we were getting stuff. There's a time to engage. There's a time to go back up into the same room or the same hot spot or the same haunted location and try to get further information because here's the thing, sometimes you've been there where ghosts have communicated, they have a dialogue going with you. They have a communication line going with you. They like who you are. I mean, you've been in that situation where you can get a lot of information for the client. So, yeah, you want to stay engaged. You want to keep the conversation going. Then there's other times where you don't hear anything at all. You've captured it during analyzing. And then there's that thing where you just know something bad's there. And, our particular group, there's other groups that deal somewhat with demonic energies or we've dealt with plenty of negative energies. I think when things get too dark, to keep the client safe, to keep us safe, to keep everybody safe, it's just best to leave it alone and not provoke. Because here's the thing. Here's the bottom line. And Becky says this all the time. We get to go home. The client has to stay. What we do on that location, or what we do on that property, or what we do in that client's home, if we create havoc within that house, and we go home and we leave this thing to them, any number of bad things can happen, and you know that. So, no, I don't think we're going to stay engaged too long with really dark energies. Is there any other questions? Well, Mike Meyer wants to know, why is it when I work around Tamo, I get a good feeling in my heart? Mike Meyer. Hi, Mike. How are you? Mike, I have the same feeling in my heart for you, and thanks for following the show tonight. Thanks for your support. Hey, Mike, I expect you back here next Sunday at 7 o'clock, all right? And I'll see you out at the rink, all right? So, is that it then? George O'Henry said he was speaking to Butch about a Civil War cemetery in Waterville across the river. Does that sound like something you guys might be interested in looking at? George wants a good, scary story. Tell us about that.
I really don't remember, George. I sort of do in a little bit, but I can't really remember.
Is he talking about the time that you were in Gettysburg?
No.
He was talking about
in Waterville.
We were standing outside a couple weeks ago. He's talking about that. I do remember. I can't remember the entire story. George, you have to share that with us again, all right? I do somewhat remember the story. Did he see one or something?
No, there is a Civil War cemetery there.
Is it in Springfield?
No.
I don't remember where it is. I remember the conversation.
Right.
I've heard so many things and people approach me, they don't remember. I'm sorry about that, George. Civil War cemeteries, yeah, I can name you Gettysburg for one. It's a really big It's a really big cemetery.
This one here isn't that big.
It's still haunted though?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you ought to get George to run out there and try to run some EVPs and see if you get something. So, is that it? Okay, listen, Butch and I are going to wrap up the show. I want to thank everybody for jumping in tonight, and thank you for the questions. I hope we answered some of them for you. Once again, we're looking forward to class. We'll hope to see our students on Thursday. Really looking forward to this class beginning. Okay, and I'm signing off. Happy huntings. Want to say goodbye to our group?
Yes. It's to see you guys in class, and happy huntings, and see you next week.
Thanks for watching Ghost Talk. End the live, dear.